A very good day to you. I'm Hank Gross, MidHudsonNews.com. It's Tuesday, October 17th. The news today brought to you by the Galleria at Crystal Run. Mayor Mark Nelson submitted his $105 million proposed budget to the Poughkeepsie Common Council yesterday. The plan includes a request to override the state tax cap by raising taxes 6.3%. The council has not indicated if they're willing to allow the override, which requires a supermajority approval of members, noting that a previous administration had created a deficit of more than $13 million. Nelson noted that he worked with former Mayor Rob Rollison to reduce the burden created by former Mayor John Tyzik's administration.
The real key to what created that deficit was just poor budgeting. And this is why the budget that I'm submitting to the Common Council in my last 3 years of service here in the city of Poughkeepsie is so important, because it keeps us on the path of erasing that deficit, a sustainable budget policy and practice that will set the new mayor up for success, whoever that will be. So this is probably the most important budget.
The city has remained under the property tax cap for 6 straight years while working to eradicate the more than $13 million deficit. As tension heightens in the Middle East between Hamas and the State of Israel after the terrorist group's mass murder of civilians in Israel and continued bombings, President Biden is expected to fly to Israel on Wednesday to show the unequivocal support of the United States for its ally. At the same time, New York Governor Kathy Hochul is flying to Israel today. She said during these difficult times, it's more important than ever for New York to show up in support of Israel. The governor says she will travel for a solidarity mission where she plans to meet with diplomatic leaders and communities who have been devastated by the horrific Hamas attacks. New York will show the world we stand with Israel today, tomorrow, and forever, she said. Early voting for this year's local and county offices and state Supreme Court runs from Saturday, October 28th through Sunday, November 5th. In Ulster County, there will be 6 locations to cast ballots, and they're spread out across the county at the Olive American Legion Hall, Midtown Neighborhood Center in Kingston, Ellenville Public Library, New Paltz Community Center, Marlborough Town Hall, and Saugerties Senior Center. Election Day is on Tuesday, November 7th. More news right after this.
Find over 100 retailers allowing you to spend hours shopping safely at the Galleria at Crystal Run. Enjoy the big brands and the diverse selection of family-owned stores all in one location. The Galleria at Crystal Run offers dining options for everyone with Fuji 110 Grill, Allen's Mediterranean Grill, and Peru Cuisine. Discover the Mid-Hudson Valley's premier shopping, dining, and entertainment destination, the Galleria at Crystal Run. For more information, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or visit GalleriaCrystalRun.com. Longtime
public servant Dennis Weiss has died. His family announced on Facebook yesterday. Weiss was serving as Town of Kingston clerk at the time of his death. Over his 40 years of service, he was a town councilman and served as town supervisor in addition to working as a volunteer. State Assemblyman Matt Slater of the Hudson Valley is criticizing the State Public Service Commission for approving what he called a staggering 30% increase in NYSEG's electric delivery rates and an almost 18% increase in its gas delivery rates over the next 3 years. Slater called those increases unsustainable, saying there is an affordability crisis in the state.
And that affordability crisis is being fueled by an energy crisis because the energy policies for the state are frankly just not adding up. And they're not adding up because they don't provide any type of cost estimate for the CLCPA specifically.
Assemblyman Anil Bifan Jr., also a Hudson Valley lawmaker, said all we see is increase after increase, and it's not fair that it falls on the backs of taxpayers. As tension heightens in the Middle East between Hamas and the State of Israel after the terrorist group's mass murder of civilians in Israel and continued bombings, President Joe Biden is expected to fly there on Wednesday to show the unequivocal support of the United States for its ally. At the same time, New York Governor Kathy Hochul is flying to Israel today. During these difficult times, it's more important than ever for New York to show up in support of Israel, she said. A corrections officer at Fishkill Correctional Facility was wounded Monday evening, and a source said the gunshot wound to his leg was believed to have been accidental. EMS personnel responded to the prison to treat the officer. The shooting took place around 7 p.m. at the weapons firing range. The 45-year-old officer was said to be at target practice when the wounding occurred. It's unclear who fired the round that injured the officer. Holtec, the company that owns the decommissioned Indian Point nuclear power plant in Buchanan, has transferred all 4,000 spent nuclear fuel assemblies to dry cask storage. Until now, the spent fuel rods were being stored in densely packed fuel cooling pools that have been a concern of the state, contributing to its opposition to the relicensing of Indian Point. I'm Hank Gross, MidHudsonNews.com. The news today brought to you by the Galleria at Crystal Run.